All right, finally, we are live. Guys, it's Rick Ginn, and today we're going to deep dive probates, and I'm going to take a little bit different of approach today with it. Actually, this has been like a probate week, so it's absolutely perfect. If you guys don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. I've been doing wholesaling for over 21 years and kind of addicted to it, so I enjoy it. My specialty, if you had to nail it down to one niche, obviously wholesaling is my master craft, but within the niche of wholesaling, I'm a master at wholesaling probates. And I want to go over to today. I want you to look at it in a different light, especially if you're new to wholesaling. And because my initial approach was probates are too hard, they're overwhelming, I can't do them. I'm chasing around hearses. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that is it. So I want to show you like why that is really bad thinking. And I'm going to show you actually how you can make money with this little known niche. I avoided it my first 7 years of wholesaling and probably one of my biggest regrets in wholesaling. But I'm going to show you as a beginner, actually wholesaling probates is one of the easiest paths, not only to the highest profit margin, but honestly, the least amount of headache. And you can do this while you have multiple jobs. I will easily show you how to do it. So my goal today is teach you how to find probates and how to wholesale them. And it's a really simple process. And everything I do here, I try to simplify. So let me give you a little hint. This entire process is broken down to you in freewholesaling.com. I will put it up here. You guys can hop on there and it makes perfect sense. But if you want more details, you can go there. But what I'm going to do is summarize it today. It's very simple. And if you have any questions about wholesaling or anything like that, especially probates, this is going to be the live you want to do. So make sure you use the comments. Jump on at Wholesaling Houses for Real. If you click the StreamYard link and you are subscribed to all our channels, you can jump on there. So I put the free wholesaling on the bottom and I'm going to leave it up there just so you guys can see it. Don't worry, it is free. It's 100% free. We're going on 4 years of telling everybody how to do wholesaling 100% free. Why? Because somebody had to do it. Absolutely crazy this sea we're in of people just trying to gouge money out of everything. And me and Zach want to provide the most amount of value with the least amount of resistance, because if I take care of you guys, it all comes back to me tenfold. I'm willing to wait. I've been doing this 21 years, and that's why I'm here in front of you. So let's just kind of go over and let's talk about the probate process. And I'm going to do a different approach on this today so we kind of simplify it so nobody gets lost in here. So what is a probate? It's simple, guys. When somebody passes away, they own assets, cars, boats, RVs, and homes or properties. They can own apartment buildings. And what happens is a person who's passed away cannot sell a property because they can't sign their name. So they created this formal process called probates. There's different levels into it. I'm not going to get into the mechanics of it, but most people, their biggest asset is the home that they've resided in their entire life. And when mom or grandma passes away, or whoever it is in the family, it could be anybody, is they go through what they call a probate process. Now, sometimes it can be an expedited process. It depends on the amount and the state. I'm not going to get into the details. I urge all of you to go and look up your probate process for your state. Understand how it flows through, because you're going to have to explain this to your clients. And it's very, very important you understand it. Every state's a little bit different. There's over 3,200 counties across the country. You will lose your mind trying to research them all. So do the ones that you're going to specialize and do this. I'm telling you guys, probates are simple. So when a person passes away, you're like, well, why do I want to buy a house when they pass away? Simple. This is when life decisions are made. So most people going through the probate process, if you're even like a slight human being, which most of my audience is you care for the individual. So when grandma or mom or grandpa gets old and they get tired and they have health issues, your job is to take care of the family member, period. You do whatever you have to do. You don't worry about the house. In fact, you retrofit the house so they can get in the bathroom easier. They can get in the tub, the shower. They have access ramps, and they start chopping up the house quite a bit. And when they do this, that's the right thing to do. And what happens is it gets harder and harder the older they get and the harder the care comes. And eventually, either the family member's caring for them or they hire people to help them out. And when they do that, that is your focus. It's not the house. You deal with the house after all the dust settles. So when the person dies with dignity, and that's what I call it, like the right probate, then the smoke settles, they do the funeral and everything, and then they have to deal with this house. Now, this house hasn't been greatly cared for. They put padding all on the walls so grandma wouldn't break her hip anymore. They put in ramps so they can get them in and out for wheelchairs for appointments. They chop up the bathroom. And before you know it, the house is usually already 20, 30 years outdated. Just didn't want to tell grandma or mom in person that. And so they appoint a person that's in charge of taking care of everything. And then that person's job is to either they can keep the house, they can fix it up, they can rent it, or they can sell it. Most people in probate in that exact situation I just explained to you, they want to sell the property. It is an emotional scar on them. It is tough to see all the final arrangements they had to make to take care of a loved one in a wheelchair with all the ramps and everything. It's tough. I've been through it personally. I know a lot of you watching this have been through it. And these are the people I truly want to help. And that's why I like probate so much, because I just buy the house as is. We agree on a number that works for them and it works for us. And it's easy. Now, here's the really cool thing about probates. Other than them being the most profitable deals that you could come across in wholesaling, the reason why it's so perfect as a new wholesaler is you get a vacant house that needs a lot of updating and repairs. It's like the perfect wish list for a wholesale deal. And that's why it's so perfect. Why is that so valuable to you? Because it buys you time to find a buyer throughout the probate process. Now, I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks that will blow your mind that you can do in probates. But while they're waiting for the paperwork and everything to settle, you can actually enter into a contract and get an agreement with the personal representative, the PR, or the executor. And this is why I love probate so much. Where else do you get a vacant house, usually an out-of-state owner of a house that already needs a lot of repairs? This is the perfect formula for a new wholesaler. Listen, it's great for seasoned guys just like me, but I'm just telling you, if you're not doing probates, you are really missing the boat. Are they a little bit slower than regular deals? Absolutely. Is there as many leads? No, there's not. But you've got to understand, if you want to be a human and you want to help these people out, they will reward you the most because you helped them out during a difficult time in their life. And if you want to acknowledge it or not, you're all going to go through it at some point. Unfortunately, it is the truth of the world. And the sooner you accept it, the better off it is. So I looked at like, oh my God, I'm like chasing people around. This is so weird. Are you going to get lit up and chewed up? Absolutely. But it's part of the game. You guys already get chewed out for doing regular wholesale deals. So this is no different. I am extra kind and courteous when I deal with people in probate because you never know what they're dealing with on that side. In fact, I don't even bring it up until they decide they want to talk about it. And that's one of the hacks. I'll teach you how to do it. So let's see here. Okay. We'll fix that. So, guys, probates, let me know in the comments if you're doing them, because I waited 7 years till I did them, honestly, because I was I feared them. I didn't understand how they worked. So I'm going to show you how I broke it down and easily overcame it. And it was simple. The other reason why I like doing probates, you can do them locally or virtually. I know a lot of you guys do virtual. Full disclosure, you'll have more success with it locally because you can touch, feel, and meet with people, but you can also do this virtually. I just partnered up with somebody doing a deal. I forget what state, it was on the West Coast, on a great probate deal. So it checks one of the biggest boxes on top of everything else, other than being vacant and needs a lot of repairs. They are usually very motivated sellers. Now, not everybody in probate is going to be motivated. Like, understand that. You still have to go through the qualification process, and I'll show you how it works. So we've already talked about what is a probate. So why do you want to pull the probates? Well, where else are you going to get the information from? So you got to pull the probates. So this is how I want to teach you how to pull the probates and how to find them. And I'm going to give you more than one strategy of just going to the courthouse. We got to go a little bit deeper because I've seen a lot of challenges you guys have all over the country. And there's more than one way to crack this egg. And I want to show you how to do it. So the first thing is you have to pull the probate. You have to get the source from someone. Now, a lot of you say, listen, somebody offered it to me from a third party and they said they'll pull all the information. It's going to be perfect. I'm going to call bluff on that one. I tried doing this for years. I never got anywhere doing it. The problem with third-party services outside of your main ones, which is going to be like Batch or a prop stream, sometimes even Deal Machine, is if you get it from a third-party individual, sometimes they're VA, sometimes they're independent people, they sell the data to everybody. And the problem is most of that data is dated. And you've got to get probates. You've got to get the freshest leads. How do I get the freshest leads? Number one, clerk of court. That's where you got to go to get it. Clerk of court is simply at your local courthouse. So they have a probate court. And I'm here to tell you, this is how I learned it. This is the best way if you can do it. Now, if you're virtually, you're not going to have this option. But if you're doing it locally, you can absolutely do this. And when you do that, I want you to understand you don't understand the process and you're going to try to figure it out and you're going to struggle terribly. So let me give you the secret. Women have already figured this out. Us men are beyond stubborn and we're stupid about it. So remember, you always have to let your ego go for you to progress in wholesaling. And this is where this statement really holds true. When you go into a courthouse, submit. After you go through the metal detector, you put your keys in the tray and your phone, submit, ask them where the probate court is and go up and ask somebody for help. Yes, I just told every guy on this live stream, you actually have to ask for help. It's like asking for directions. We fight it with everything we can, especially with maps and GPSs. But the sooner you ask for help, the easier it is. You know why? Because the probate courts are the gatekeepers. They know where all the data is. They know exactly what you're looking for. The question is, can you communicate it clearly to them? Now, here's a little bit of secret about going in person. You're actually going to have to use your rapport building skills that me and Zach teach you all the time, because this is how it works. You have to connect with people. I look at their dog. They got pictures of their dog, or they got pictures of their daughter. And maybe they've got a college team behind them, maybe a pro team. I'm going to use all that information just like I do on a motivated teller. Remember, you have to get the person to like you to get you the information. So the easiest hack I can tell you, if you're brand new and you're going to get the best data and you're going to go to your courthouse, ask for help. There's usually somebody in charge of the probate court, usually like a receptionist. And if they're not too busy or you set a scheduled time with them, they'll explain the entire process to you. And remember, they're the gatekeeper to the records of probate. That's it. Now, I'm going to tell you, the biggest fear you guys have, they go, what do I say when they ask why I'm getting the records? Sometimes they do ask that. And simply just say, listen, I want to get statistical information to find out what the average amount of deaths are and how many of these people own properties. Can I collect that information? I don't go into, I'm a wholesaler and I'm looking to make 50 grand a deal because that's what Zach and Rick say. No, keep it simple. But when you say, why do you need that information? You immediately go on the defensive and you create a very hostile conversation. So be prepared for what you're going to say if they ask you why. Should they ask you why? Probably not, but I can't control. They are human beings. They're just curious. So give them what they want. I want to know who's passed away and who owns property so I can do some statistics for my county records. I am a taxpayer. I just really want to get that information. It is a fair and honest answer. You are not lying. You can use my exact quote. You got to be nice about it and you got to do it with a smile. If you try to bulldog these people, you're not going to get anywhere and it's torture. And I don't want you to do that. You are not going to make these people give you data. So understand how to use how to build rapport and use that just like me and Zach teach you with motivated tellers. So the first one is always going to be in person. It is the most accurate, most up-to-date information. That is the best way. But let's not stop there. Let's talk about those of you that do this virtually, right? If you're going to do it virtually, how can I get this information if I can't go in the courts? Well, what you want to do is look for the dockets. Now, this is basically pulling up court records online. Docket's just a fancy word for a list. That's all it is. Now, you can get these dockets in person, but the problem is the docket just usually gives you a case number and the date it was filed, and that's it. So hopefully when you hit the online, you can click on there and get the entire history of the case. Now, let me tell you the pros and cons of this. The cons of this is we are not lawyers. Lawyers get all access to this information. In the state of Florida, they call it I think it's benchmark, and they get records to basically any files. They just have to register as a lawyer. You and me don't get that privilege. A lot of times your county probate clerk of courts will charge you, they call it an administrative fee, they call it a business fee, and you'll have to decide. I've heard them from as low as $50 for the year, as high as $500 or $600 for the year. You have to decide if that's worth it for the convenience factor. I'm all about getting stuff free, but sometimes you do hit roadblocks and you have to make decisions what's best for you and your business. So you'll have to figure that out. If you don't have any money, you just have to figure out the old school way to do it. And so you can pull those. You can also get the dockets in person, but you're going to have to get access to the individual files. So I find virtually it's easier to chase the dockets. Trying to call the court system to get them to email for you is probably a 95% failure ratio. So what you want to do is ask, how can I get access to the probate dockets for Monroe County or for Orange County or whatever county you're doing? That is going to be the best way to do it. They might try to charge you a fee. Ask if you can get it without the fee, if there's any way you can get public access as a tax-paying citizen. And then remember, they're typically going to come back to you and go, what do you need these for? Just have an answer prepared. Don't go, it's none of your business. It is the instant like death curse. You're not going to get help from that employee anymore. So this is my second favorite way to do it. Now, let's go, hey, listen, dude, I got no money. How the heck am I supposed to pull these records if they want to charge me to do an online docket and I can't go in line on person? Well, there is a reverse hack. I'm not crazy about it, but I got to let you know about it because there are people having success with it. It is a crap load of work. Not going to lie to you, but when you don't have money, what do you lack in resources? You have to make up for in resourcefulness. So I will give an A+ to this. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do this because it's so different in every county. It's a challenge. If you can get access to death records, and I said death records, yes, it is a very private information, but there are people getting access to this, and I'm going to show you how you can do it here. You can easily correlate and figure out who owns property and who's passed away, and you can actually beat a lot of people in the probate process. Now, for the record, I don't do this technique because we just go to the county and pull it, and we have online access through the dockets. But some of you don't, and some of you don't have the funds to do it. Now, notice I didn't say obituaries. Find obituaries, that's a tough one. There are people that have success doing it. If you guys want to make in the comments, I would love to hear your success. Obituaries are very fresh. It's a very, very early time to come after people in probate. And for that reason, and they're not always accurate by any stretch of the imagination. If you can get access to death records, they're black and white. You just research the person that's passed away, and then you cross-reference it to the property records to see if they own any properties in that county. Once you can put a match together, then basically you just got to track down a relative that's in charge and see if they have interest in selling the property. Simpler said than done. Now, how do I get access to death records? Some counties actually let the public have access to us. Not a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. If you have any type of list puller that can help you pull this data, it's phenomenal. Some of the best records you can get. Let's face it. If we could skip probate and go straight to death records, it would actually be easier because courts make things complicated. That's why we have to go through all this rigmarole with lawyers, right? Lawyers always get paid the most in the end when it's said and done. So the easiest way to get access to the death records is you can use a third party, one of the reputable ones. My favorite is simply you can use dmzac.com. You can go to listrei.com, and they have a pre-probate option on there. I like it. You know why? Because they get access to death records. Now, it is slightly delayed. That is the only downside I found on it. But they correlate the deceased's last name to property they own on records. It's not perfect, but it's in there. And if you guys already have a subscription to dmsac.com or listrei.com, you don't have to pay anything. That's the beauty of it. Is it perfect? No. But I find I hit that at least every other month, especially for the virtual markets. And I can always find a probate or two in there. It takes a little bit of time. It's not a ton of data. And that is the attractive part of doing them. So now that we know the three ways, let's review. You go down to the clerk of court, pull the records yourself. By the way, the sooner you pull the information, the better your odds of getting a probate deal. Why? Time kills. Speed kills in probates. I know that sounds terrible, but whoever gets to the contact person first usually has the best deal. People have this strange thing, like whoever contact them first, they make a placeholder for them. They go, well, Rick called me first, but if it doesn't work out with Rick, I'm happy to give you a call back. You see, whoever can connect with the PR or the executor first, they usually get first right of refusal on the property. People like to honor their word. So everyone I talk to, I go, listen, don't talk to anyone else until we can see if we can put an agreement. I don't want to confuse you. And I remind everyone, but most people do it naturally. So clerk of court, that's going to the court. The next one, the dockets. This is your online record search. Full disclosure, you might have to pay a fee for your county. Some of these counties are getting really greedy. Remember, they are funded with your tax money. So make sure you vote for the right people to put them in and tell them you don't want fees to pull public records that you already pay for with your hard-earned tax dollars. Don't get me started on taxes, guys. I get all wound up. My ADHD fires up and I lose it. So the next one is access to death records. And I know you're thinking, how the hell you want me to get access to death records? Some of you actually get access to it. Don't ask me how, but you can use a third party, dmsac.com, listrei.com, and use the pre-probate filter. It's already built in there. And they somehow have access to death records. Don't ask me how they get it. And you and me can't get it normally. It drives me nuts. And if you already have a subscription to these services, it's free. So go ahead and use it. So now we need to move on to step 4. And step 4 is, how do we organize the probate data? Because this is where I get a lot of questions. A lot of people like, hey, this is crazy. So, okay, I'm reading comments while I do this. I'm not dazing off. So I'm looking at comments about probates, and I appreciate it. And you guys are just carrying this on. So a shout out to Damon here. He's currently doing probates in North Florida. I love Florida. It's one of my favorite places to do probates because it's easy. And we've closed 3 here in Tallahassee. So guys, the proof in the pudding is it works. The thing is you have to actually work it. And then he says right here, I've been doing a lot of probates going into foreclosure. So that's a double whammy. If I get one that's already in probate and it's in foreclosure, that is a huge sign that you have a motivated seller and they need your help. So I want you to keep in mind. Okay. Tons and tons of comments. I love it. So let's get back to finishing this here. So how do we organize the probate data? Simple. Don't overcomplicate this. This is where you have to simplify your business. So number 1, you have to grab the basic data you need. So the first piece of data, grab the deceased information, last name, first name, hopefully a middle initial. That is the most important right off the bat. Number 2, you're looking for an address. Why? So you can cross-reference to see if they own property within that given county. Sometimes I've had people in New York that own property in Florida. It can get really confusing quickly. This is where the next piece comes in, most important, which is going to be the PRs. So what a PR is, let me jump down here. It's basically the personal representative. Is just a fancy acronym people use, or an executor, depending on which state you're at. And this is the person who's designated in the will to be the responsible party. Now, we all have families. You all know how it goes. You know, there's people in your family you would not trust a straw with because they'd find a way to screw it up. But you love them to death and they're great people and they're a lot of fun to be around. So we're looking for the most responsible person in the family. I want you to understand there's the PR. There's the deceased, the PR, and then you have the heirs. And by the way, it's perfectly normal for the PR to be one of the heirs or the beneficiaries. Heirs and beneficiaries are the exact same thing. When I first started doing probates, I decided, why not just chase the heirs down and they'll give me everything I want to know on the PR. Really bad decision, because the amount of drama I got in my life, it was exhausting. There is a reason the PR is assigned to take care of that will and last testament and carry out the deceased person's final wishes, because they're responsible. They've demonstrated a history of it. And for that reason, just stick with the PR. I've tried every other way. It doesn't work. Statistically, if you have 4 or less heirs, it's usually much faster to get a deal in probate. When you get more heirs, there's usually more drama, more decisions to make. It does. I've done them with as many as 26 heirs. So I try every probate, but I want you to understand the PR is what you're hunting. Now, sometimes it's not as easy to find the PR, and sometimes it's not even laid out on the docket or the court information, or especially if you do the death certificate route, the death of records. So the other way you can do is a simple skip trace through dmzac.com to find relatives. Now, hoping one of the relatives is the PR, you're just missing the information. By reaching out and making those conversations, you can easily assimilate who's the hierarchy in the family and who's responsible for it. Sometimes in certain states, certain counties, it's not super easy to find the PR. And I don't know why they make it so difficult. So sometimes you have to go that extra leg and do it. And this is the part people hate about probates. Oh, I got to do all this work. I get it. But remember, the more people that don't want to do it means the more reason you should be doing it. So if you understand that going into it, grab the deceased information, get an address. Hopefully there's associated with the deceased. Try to find the PR. And if or not, find relatives, because relatives will always tell you what's going on. And that's the way to do it. So the next part is, okay, well, how do I reach out to relatives then? Like, I know the PR. That's a given, Rick, right? And by the way, once you get the PR's information, you just skip trace it. dmzac.com is the easiest way. You can use True People Search. You can use whitepages.com, I think it is. However you want to do it. It's really, really straightforward and easy to do. So how do we find the relatives? Well, the relatives, you simply locate them by simply doing a skip trace, a Google search, and then using the old telephone, text, and putting a sticky note on the door actually works really well. It is the art of being resourceful as a wholesaler. And that's what I need you guys to be. So if you understand that, like, don't be feared to reach out to the relatives if you can't figure out who the PR is. I did this all the time in the beginning. They're like, don't you know who the PR? I go, no, who is it? Oh, John Smith's the PR. Oh, okay, great. Is that John on 4th Street? Yeah. You see how that works? It's absolutely wonderful when you do it. And a lot of people like, I don't want to call the relatives because I'm scared. What are you scared of? I waited 7 years to do probates. Don't act like me. Take initiative, go out and do it, and do it. So simply after that, guys, it's real simple. Just lock up the deal and have the title company deal with it. This is the part where most people don't get it. You spend so much time trying to know everything you can about probates that you are wasting time. You guys are studying probates. I've seen people spend years. Guess what? The first probate deal I did, I knew nothing other than how to market to somebody in probate. That's it. I didn't even understand the process. Honestly, it scared the crap out of me. So what I did, I took my little contract with my PR and I went over to my title company and go, can you help me figure this out? And they go, yeah. They're the PR. They have the right to sign. And let me go ahead and pull the title. And they did everything for me. And basically they go, listen, you can close anytime from this time to that time. And they asked me a lot of questions, which I'm going to go into detail with you guys on how to answer them. So I want you to understand this. Stop trying to figure out everything you want to know about probates because you don't need to know it. It's not your job. Your job is to be a master marketer, to be the most resourceful person to find and locate motivated sellers. The last thing you want to do is get in the weeds on all the technical stuff in probates. I promise you with experience, you're going to get it anyways. So don't treat it like school where you went to school for like 12 years and then you took a final exam to go out in the real world. Just study up on it and go out and take massive amount of action. And that's how probates work. I am no different than any of you. You just have to take the risk and you have to put yourself out there. And if you have a positive mindset and that's what you want to do, but a positive mindset alone is not going to do this for you. You actually have to go out there. You're going to get rejected a lot. Now, in most counties, I have 50 to 60 leads. Of that, a quarter of them own property, and I get maybe 15, 25 leads out of it. That's it. I mail them a letter, I skip trace them, and I cold call them. And that's my process. I might mail them one more letter 45 days later, and that's it. Now, the really cool thing is if you guys go over to freewholesaling.com, that's right, freewholesaling.com, I'll put it on the bottom here, is I actually put the damn letter in there for you. Now, I've always told you guys I want you to mix it up a little bit, but this letter is so powerful. Why? Because I've had a lot of time perfecting it. I've learned what doesn't work. I've learned what actually works, and I want you to understand that. So you're going to remember, you're going to write the letter to the PR or the executor, depending on which state you're in. They're interchangeable words. They're just, you know how the United States legal system's so complicated. We have to figure it out. So if you go over to freewholesaling.com and you sign up and register, there is a probate section. I give away a template letter. Now, I want you guys to kind of put your own spin on the letter. I don't need 100,000 people out there putting the Rick Ginn letter, even though I know they do it. Be individual. I always change my letters up. You can put your own personal spin on them. Now, I want to show you the secret sauce I put in my letters. Don't worry, everybody copies me. I'm okay with it. It is what it is I'm going to give you what we call a unique sales proposition. Call it a USP. Like, Rick, what the hell are you talking about? When you go and meet with your sellers, you have to have an advantage. So what if 4 or 5 other wholesalers reach out to them and maybe 3 realtors? Here's typically what they say. So if I catch them at the end, which I hate, so I'd rather you catch them sooner, they go, hey, Rick, what makes you different? Because I've already talked to 4 wholesalers. They all kind of come up with the same thing. Why should I even meet with you? That's your opening phrase right there. And here's what you're going to say. What if I could show you how to sell the property before the probate process is complete? Is that something that you want to discuss? Here, I'm going to put it right here on the screen for you. What if I could show you how to sell the property before the probate is complete? And by the way, any of you guys like, you can't do that. It's legally impossible. I've done the pre-sale before probate over 250 times. I have more case files. I have more contracts than anybody else that does this in the country. Why? Because I learned about this trick. And I learned it from a judge and a lawyer having lunch with them. Honestly, without that lunch, I don't know if I would ever figured this out. I probably eventually would have. But here's how it goes. When I'm talking to somebody in probate and I'm on the phone, I said, what if I could show you how you could sell the house before the probate process is complete? Is that something of interest? Because, yeah, can you tell me how? Here's the key, guys. Don't tell them right there over the phone. Get their interest piqued, and that is your permission slip to set an appointment to go meet them in person. Or if you're going to do it virtually, you can kind of roll into it. You don't want to give them everything. You just want to kind of pull them in. Here's the secret to probates. The PR is in control. A lot of you think the lawyer is. The lawyer's not. The lawyer's just a paper pusher. Lawyers have a time and place. But when it comes to probate, all they do is process paperwork. You have to connect with the PR. The sooner you connect with the PR, the quicker you can get rid of the lawyer. If you try to go through the lawyer, which some of you think you're creative with that, you're wasting your time. They're going to protect their client. They're going to make you pay more. They're going to make you put up huge amounts of earnest money, and they're not going to let you do an assignable contract. If you go straight to the PR, she says, listen, I want $200,000. I would like to close it sooner than later, and I just want to move on with my life. Okay, I can do that. So I write it all up and I do that. And then here's what I do with them. I go, Mr. Seller, we have an agreement, $200,000. We have to work through the legal process. But also, what if I could show you how I could actually speed this up and you could actually sell the house before the probate's complete? Is that something you're interested in doing with me? And they go, absolutely. Right then and there, once I have a signed agreement, is I'm going to put them in touch with my title company. My title company simply explains to them what document needs to be executed in the court system from the judge, which is basically a permission slip to liquidate the asset. Lawyers don't like to do this because they feel like they get cut out a little bit and they don't have as many billable hours. That's just the truth. And that's it. It's done. And here's the really cool part. Say I've done them in as little as 32 days, by the way. You can do some of them really, really fast. It depends on how backed up your court system and how cooperative your seller and how knowledgeable the lawyer is. There's a lot of factors in there. But when I get them done in 32 days, the property gets sold. You get paid first. Like you get paid. Now the seller, the money is set inside an escrow account for the estate of, if it's like John Doe. And you're thinking, okay, well, if they don't get the money, why would you do it? Think about this. The house is their biggest expense. So if you had to take on grandma's house and say you're just trying to get by, and in today's economy, it is tough for people just to get by. Now I got to make an additional mortgage payment. I got to make tax payment. I've got to make insurance payments. I got to keep the utilities running, and I got to pay someone to mow the lawn. And sometimes this can take 6, 12 months to 2 years. What if we could just sell it now? You take the proceeds and then we put it in an interest-bearing account for you. Is that something you're open to doing? And that's it, guys. This is how we solve problems. This statement I have on the screen gives me such a USP over any other wholesaler. And by the way, I see wholesalers come on here all the time, or people say they're wholesaler. You can't do it before the probate process is complete. You're not doing enough deals, then you don't understand how it works. I've been in courts while it does. I know the exact document. I'm not here to give legal advice. So here's what I do is I have my title company coach my seller on what to tell their attorney. You do not want a relationship with the attorney. It's a waste of your time. Here's how it goes. If you try to reach out to the attorney first, you're going to wait 2 to 4 weeks if they even respond to you. And they're going to tell you, we don't like your contract. We want to get the house appraised and we want to put it on MLS. The attorney will kill your wholesale deal right off the bat. Now, if you do the straight line effect, the Jordan Belfort method, the straight line, go straight to the PR or the executor. And when you get that, once you have a signed agreement, that puts the lawyer to the side. Now, some lawyers will stall and they'll be difficult, but there are ways to deal with them. Once you have that signed and executed contract, as long as you have the right PR, you're set. The lawyer is going to have a hard time getting in the way. Lawyers like to stand in between their clients and create a wall and make sure they get paid before you can get through them. Just like gurus, right? Same thing. So I'm here to tell you, I love probates. And if you guys don't worry about it, this is recorded. This is a live event. It's the 12th of March, 2024. So I want you to understand this is the key, and this is what I do. Now, don't overly give the information. Make sure you set an appointment so you can qualify and make sure you get the right information. And this is the secret to doing probates and being highly, highly effective with it. So knowing that, what else do we have here on probate? So I want to open up the floor. We'll take some questions here. We got plenty of time to do lives today. Guys, listen to me. Probates will change your life. Here's the truth about probates that nobody really talks about. Most people get excited about doing probates. And the first 30 days, they go, man, I didn't even get a call, or I got one call and the guy told me to take a hike. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. And then they go, I went the second month, man, this is getting terrible. I'm not getting anywhere. This is a huge time suck. I'm not getting anywhere. And then usually most people quit after 45 days. I know this for a fact. I've trained so many people doing this. You've got to understand probates you have to do consistently. They are not expensive. They're a very low budget item. And honestly, you could have 2 full-time jobs while you did them, because most of the time people are calling you or you're calling them on your set hours. So knowing it doesn't take a ton of time, it takes consistency. It's not uncommon to go 3-4 months without even getting a deal. Why? It's not a lot of deals. It's not like you're sending out 10,000 pieces of mail. So if you're sending out 25 to 30 pieces, say you get 100 out there and you get 1 or 2 call back, that is the norm. I'm sorry. What expedites this? 2 things. The faster you can get to the lead, the better chance you have, because if they call you first, you got first crack. Number 2, most people are lazy. They don't want to answer their phone. God forbid they work and actually have to deal with a seller. Answer your phones live and answer and go, hello, how are you doing? And just simply go through it. That's it. And by the way, I teach you in depth at freewholesaling.com, super duper deep, and teach you how to deal with probates. I don't have enough time to even do it in this live stream, but you got to be extremely patient. You got to be consistent. And honestly, if you just got 1 or 2 probates a year and they netted you $40,000 or $50,000, it would change your life. But most people want the quick hit. They want the fast one. And here's a little secret. I get more probates from other wholesalers because they can't get paid today. I go, fine, I'll pay you when it goes out through. I don't care. I'll give them a fee. I usually don't split with them because they're so lazy. They don't even bother following up with me. I pay people that give me deals that are easy, but too many wholesalers they don't want to put the time and the effort in, and they just want a quick hit deal. And I tell you, I've dealt with probates for over 2.5 years that were 6 figures. Who cares? Plant a seed and come back to it. It's like 401k or SEP money or any type of investment. Put the money away so it earns you more money so you come back to a pot of gold. And that's what you have to understand doing it. So great question right here by The Real Deal. And honestly, it is a valid question. And I love quality questions because you can get quality answers from it. So how soon is too soon to contact the family? There's no right answer for this, but once the probate's filed, whoever gets there the fastest, that means the family's accepted. We need to square the title up on this property. Most people in probate wind up selling. I don't have exact numbers for you. I don't know who would keep stats on it. I think it would be very interesting. If anyone can find stats while on this, I will happy to post them up there. But once they file that probate, whoever gets to them first usually has the first crack at it. Now, when it comes to obituaries and death certificates, a little bit more iffy because that's really sudden. So most people file probate within 30 to 90 days after somebody passes away. Here's a little secret. Not everybody even opens up a probate. So if you can get access to pre-probates or death records, you can actually find a deal within a deal. Some of my favorite deals to do are properties that need probate, that never got probate, that the family doesn't know what they do, and they don't know how to harvest any money out of the property. Ding, 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 ding. That means everyone's going to make a lot of money, and you're going to be the hero in the family's eyes. I just dealt with a property. The lady passed away 12 years ago. I'm not a lawyer, guys, but I know where I see opportunity. We come to an agreement on the house. I have them actually sign it, even though they have no rights. I just want to confirm they're okay with it. And I go talk to my lawyer and I talk to my title company, and we find and devise a way to put a probate together, do the basic court filings with the consent of the family and their cooperation. And those are the ones you're going to absolutely make the most money because the family's struggling for 12 years. They couldn't sell it or do anything. And this is when people just literally hug you with what you're doing. And that's why I love probates. It's one of the most satisfying things. The downside is contacting the people that are in probate, and people always ask me, go, hey, Rick, what do you say to them? Do you just tell them like, I know somebody died? No, I never say a word like that. I just find out if they have interest in selling this property on 5th Street. Simple as that. I'm always going to let the probate do the talking. You've got it. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You've got to use it accordingly. Do not be a person that dominates a conversation. You've got to get past that first phone call. In fact, I teach you at freewholesaling.com. It takes 5 to 6 touches before you even get to a contract. It is brutally important in probates that you absolutely understand that. So great question by Real Deal. Honestly, as soon as that probate's filed, that is the best time, in my opinion. You're going to have to use some restraint on an obituary because sometimes you can even call them before the funeral, and that can really kill any type of rapport you're ever going to have. So good question, though. Okay. So let's get this out real quick. I'm gonna go. So you guys got great questions. We're gonna go through it, and I'm gonna jump on the lives here. With deck records, can you go to your funeral and get that? Highly unlikely. I don't want you guys to go chasing around funeral homes. Yes, they do have access to the records. Yes, hospitals have access to those records, but these are highly secured facilities. And I'm just saying, if you could get access to those records, that would be great. But most likely you're going to have to go through the third parties like dmzac.com or listrei.com. But listen, the perfect trigger is the death certificate, like hands down. But God, if they made that public, I think the problem is if they made that public, the amount of businesses that would chase them down between Lawyers would be out of control with it. Thank God lawyers don't get public information to death records, only to their clients, because you can see how that would get out of control. So I kind of get it. So um, awesome. Jocelyn says, I can't wait till I start probates. And that's what I want you guys to do. Don't wait 7 years like I did. And I want you to understand. So Jason asked here, is the process for probates, let me see, is the process for probates pull list, call the PR, send mailer to PR? How often do we follow up? So this is simple. Most people in probate, you don't have like 2 years to market them. In my opinion, the sweet spot is really 45 days. After that, if they're not going to respond to your mail or your phone calls, you can't beat them up and submit them to it. I don't, people are like, oh, you got to mail to them every month. Yeah, go ahead, try it. It doesn't help. So I'll send one initial mailer out to them. And then usually in 45 to 60 days, I'll send one more. And usually I put them in my postcard. So I do regular direct mail. So this is really easy. I just cut and paste the probates that didn't respond. And I put them in my catch-all for my motivated sellers, on my high equity list, my vacant list, and all my government lists. And I do that. Worst case, you can do 2 letters. I'm going to be honest with you. If they don't answer the first letter, odds are they're probably not going to answer the second one. So I wouldn't waste a lot of time and money. When it comes to cold calling, I just wait till I contact someone and I see if they have interest in selling a property on Fifth Street. I don't talk about the death of a family member. That is not your job, and I don't want you to do it. It's going to be a terrible rapport builder. And then once they want to talk and open up to you, just learn to be a good listener. So you do have the process right. The follow-up's simple. Probates don't go on forever. Most people will wind up selling the house in 6 to 12 months. Remember, your USP allows you to do it earlier. And so I want you guys to leverage that when you're marketing to your sellers. So, okay, good question. Let's see. Will there be a replay? Yeah, guys, this is always recorded. Nobody does more live streams than me and Zach. Maybe somebody, you know what, maybe we can help push the bar up. A lot of people go out there and they do what we call fake lives, where you think it's live, it's got this word live, and you guys catch on to it real quick. So this is live. It is, what time is it? It's 1:58 on 3/12/24. So it's got to be live. Otherwise I couldn't throw that. Jason said, I need to be at the April event. Yeah, we're going to be in Dallas, April 24th, 25th. I'll share the information with you before we do all that. So that will be out there. And let's see. Let's take some live calls and see who we can help out today. So, hey, guys, listen, I do appreciate it. And a shout out to Olivia. She's been with us for a while. So I love our loyal listeners. And me and Zach do tell the truth. And that's what gets us somewhat in trouble, so to speak. And the reason I say that, hold on here, is the reason I say that, let me type this person real quick, is sometimes telling the truth hurts a lot of people. And I don't know why. But if you don't know the truth, you cannot solve the problem. End of story. You can't do it. So based on that and understanding it, is me and Zach tell a lot of truths to this business. Why? Because I've been behind the scenes so long. I know exactly what goes on. There's a lot of good people in wholesaling. Not everyone's bad. But when we say the term guru, it just means people just trying to make a quick buck and not providing a lot of value and service. That's what I mean by guru. And if the shoe fits, freaking wear it. I don't know what else to tell you. Then fix what you're doing. That's it. You got to provide value. And how do you know value? Is your audience continues to grow, people continue to support you, and everybody makes money together. And that's how I look at it. So a shout out to them. So let's jump on here and let's make sure our microphones, everything's working. And you guys keep dropping the comments. I'll help out as much as I can. And what's up, Mark? What's going on, man?
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm hitting the courthouse, hoping to bring you guys some JV deals. So
Perfect.
I wanted to ask you some questions about probate. I'm in Florida, and when I go to the courthouse, I see a lot of petitioners. Are you guys sending letters to the petitioner, hoping that they'd become the PR or the executor, or calling them first and then trying to find out who the PR is after?
So you're talking about when we reach out to the relatives?
Yes, or basically when I'm filling in the data on my Excel spreadsheet, most of the time I just see, oh, it's a petitioner, not a personal representative.
Yeah. So the petitioner is the person who actually opens up the probate. In the perfect world, the petitioner is the PR, but like a lot of states are very different. Sometimes it's the lawyer that opens it up. So I've seen the lawyers actually be the petitioner. So I prefer to let the courts tell me the data because it makes it much, much easier. But sometimes some counties, they're very like, not going to say they redact who the petitioner is. Sometimes they hold back. They're not sure who's officially going to be the PR. I mean, and so the petitioner is the person that's going to file. And then the idea is to identify the PR, and then the will designate the heirs. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't get into the weeds on this stuff, but sometimes some of the information in some of the court systems really tough to figure out. And for that reason, sometimes we just go straight to the relatives and go, hey, who would be the PR of this? They'll tell you. They go, oh, it's Johnny. Johnny runs the family. He does everything. And it's not as easy when you have to go straight to the family members and cold call them because they're like, who are you? Why do you want to know this information? So if you can get it from the court docs, it's much, much more reliable. But every now and then you just can't get it. I have certain counties where we have to rely on calling relatives. It's a lot more work. It's a lot more effort. And for that reason, it is what it is.
Okay. So if you're me and you're sending letters and stuff, do you kind of just send them blind
So
to?
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of trick. Some of you don't have the time or the resources to pull up all information. So here's a little trick. If you know that you have a probate case, and I found this, so we use this as a catch-all on the ones we couldn't figure out who the PR is. On the title on the top, you can mail it to the property address. You're like, well, Rick, the person died there. There's nobody there anymore. That's not true. Someone's always picking up the mail. Guess who do you think normally picks up the mail from a house where there's someone's passed away? Who would pick up the mail in your eyes?
Relative or the PR?
Most likely the person that is responsible, right? They got to pay the bills and everything. So mail it to that house where they had the property. And then on the top, you simply put to the estate of John Doe or whoever passed away. I guarantee they'll open it. And honestly, it's not a bad hack and it saves you a ton of time. I mean, I can't believe I'm telling this on air but I believe in it. It works. So every now we can't figure it out. Instead of waiting a week or two to figure it out, we just send it out just the way I told you. Estate of John Doe, we mail it to the physical property address, assuming the PR is going there and picking up that mail. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, it works out well. And honestly, guys, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you did it that way. I prefer you make it a little bit more personal, but like, listen, if you're busy and you got a short list, bang it out like that. Like it's, as long as you get it out and you take a shot, it's going to be more effective if you make it out with the PR's name, but to the estate of, I guarantee they're going to open it, especially if it's hand addressed. And always put a return address in the upper left-hand corner.
Okay. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm just seeing the petitioner and not the PR.
Yeah, so you're in one of those counties where it's high. So have you ever talked to your to the probate courts to ask them why that issue is there?
I haven't. Honestly, they're not the friendliest, so I try and just keep my head down and
Um, it is what like there's certain counties you just can't get it. I don't know how these courts make things so difficult, but they do. But you got to find little tricks to navigate around it. Sometimes I've lost counties over this. Like we just gave up. Like you make it difficult, especially virtually, because once they change it, it's hard for us to get access to that information. So remember, guys, probate it's not really a scalable event. Like every county you add adds a complexity to your wholesaling operation. And it will get to the point where there's a diminished return because like I did as many as 9 counties once and it was expensive. Like I had to hire people to pull data and you don't get deals right away and it just discourages you. And it's a lot of work. And the problem is you get 9 counties and they all have 9 different procedures. You'll drive people nuts. Imagine if you wanted to do 500 counties across the country, it'd be a nightmare.
yeah.
So somebody once challenged me, said, Rick, I scale probate. No, you don't. If you want to scale them, just go the pre-probate route through dmzac.com or listria.com. but that's not really scaling. You're just kind of mass mailing. It's more of a direct mail campaign, in my opinion, because those lists aren't 100% true. They have death records and they are cross-referenced against people that own property, but that's about as far as it goes. So, how many counties do you do?
I'm just doing one. I'm in
Yeah,
Central
yeah.
Florida, so
Could you imagine doing 3 or 4? It's like,
yeah.
and they'll
No.
drive you nuts. You will go 8 miles over to another county and you feel like you left the state or the country. I'm like, this is the craziest thing. It's the same state. And I don't know why they give courts a lot of leeways on how they regulate and run their probate system. They have to follow the state laws and honor the federal laws. But after that, you'll find, man, you make this, like, some of them make it very, very difficult. And that's what frustrates all of us on it. So you have to be patient. You got to learn to build rapport with them, just like you do with motivated sellers, and understanding. I'll be honest with you. When I first started doing probates back, way back, 2010, 11, it was much easier to get them. But I still got resistance. Don't get me wrong. I still got resistance. It was never easy, but some of the stuff we're dealing with now, it's a little bit ridiculous. So just hang in there and you'll get it. And here's the other trick, guys. Do one county at a time and master it. But don't take on another one, because it's like you got to get one. You got to figure out the flow on how you're going to get it and the timeliness. If you try to add 3 at the same time, you're just going to drive yourself nuts. So get one, get it done. And then I always look at the data after 12 months. How many calls did we get? How many contracts did we write? And how many deals did we close? And sometimes you just got to stop doing certain counties that don't work. I have a county that I live in. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. The population is too small. There's too many realtors chasing it. Wholesalers don't even touch it. And everybody wants full retail. But I have 3 years of data of that. I just give up. So that's it. Anything else?
Yeah, I was just wondering if, since this is a tough county, is it worth exploring the docket route that we were talking about earlier, or just stay
Only
with
you can
the
answer that.
courthouse?
Only you can answer that. So you got to figure
Okay.
that out, what you want to do with that. But
All right,
guys,
Rick.
I love probates. They're not a quick hit. But when you do hit, they are monstrous. And that's what I love about them, because the average wholesaler will not stick out a probate. They're like, it takes too long. I don't get it. Because you don't get that initial dopamine rush that you get with like a wholesale deal. But I don't care, man. If you put another 0 behind it, my average deal on like little crappy homes we do is 36K. And I've gotten a lot better at it. And as you get better, your numbers will go up. But they're 3 to 3.5 times what a normal assignment contract is. And by the way, somebody asked, can you do assignments with probates? 100%. Absolutely. Yes.
So same
They are
contract and
easy.
everything?
They are easy. They are super. All you need is an assignable contract.
Okay.
And my recommendation for you guys when you submit probates is use your state approved realtor and lawyer's contract. Don't use the wholesale contract. Why? Because you want it to just slip under the radar without any questions. You do a 2-page contract, you freak professionals out. Why? It's too clear and it's too truthful, and they think you're screwing them over some way. So go use your 10, 12, 14-page realtor contract that's approved for your state. If you don't know how to get it, you can get it online, or just go to your title company. They'll give you a copy of it. And then you write in all the things you need in your wholesale contract, and it actually gets buried in there. The assignability is a little bit of a check. It's so small, most people don't even pick it up. You have all the same terms you can put in there. You can have an inspection period. You can have a closing date. You can have absolutely everything in it. So that's one of the tips that really helped me out a lot. I used to submit a 1-page contract. 70% of them got rejected by lawyers. So what I did is I used a formal one. And every now and then someone will ask you, I didn't mean to run over. You have any other questions?
No, I was just saying your Gators are playing my Canes this year, so be looking forward to that one.
So full disclosure, I am a Canes fan at heart. I grew up going to University of Miami games. I grew up in the
Same.
80s and the 90s with the Canes. So like, but both my kids went to UF. So I went to a lot. Listen, I love college football. I don't think Miami is ever going to recapture what they had. But I
Yeah.
love that environment and era you will never, ever replace.
I
So
miss the OB. Was
no,
one of
I
my
know. But I
greatest
so
childhood memories.
Zach grew up being a Hurricanes fan, but like he still likes the Hurricanes. But I think they'll have one run every 10 years, and that's about it. But it's hard to compete with the Ohio States and Alabamas anymore. It's getting ridiculous. So
Yeah. It's still GoFins though. Rick, so
I know.
grateful for all you guys do. Really
Okay,
appreciate it.
man.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. So, guys, the other thing is when people go, here's one of the big questions we have. Um, um, they always go, well, can my lawyer look it over? And a lot of you go, absolutely not. Now, listen, every bone in my body, I don't want to give it to a lawyer either because lawyers are deal killers. But you've got to take the opposite approach of what every other investor does. Absolutely. Here's the key. Most of them are lying to you, meaning they either have a separate lawyer or they want to run it by their probate lawyer. By the way, probate lawyers, when you send them a contract, they typically want 10 to 14 days to review it. That's like a lifetime to you and me. Here's what I do. Tell me what your lawyer's email is and their phone number, and I'll go ahead and send it to them for you. They're like, now either they're going to spit it out right away or they're going to stall. If they stall, it means they're lying to you. If you beat them up on the lawyer thing, they're going to think you're up to something. So be transparent. But what I want to do is send it to them. And then what I do is I anchor the PR on the terms of the deal. Okay, $200,000. We're going to put down $500 in escrow. And then we're going to close as soon as we get clearance from the title company to do it. I'm not going to go in at this point and tell them I can close it before the probate's over because I don't want to freak the lawyer out. Lawyers hate that spiel, by the way. Do not bring it up in front of a lawyer. And then once they submit it to the lawyer, what's going to happen? It's going to sit in an inbox for about 3 or 4 days, probably a week. And then your sellers are like, I'm tired of waiting for the lawyer. I'm just going to sign it. I'm like, okay. And that's usually what happens when they do it. Once it's signed, I don't need the lawyer for anything. Like I could care less what that lawyer says, does, or reacts. Remember, the fastest way, straight line, the Jordan Belfort method is straight line. If you get a contract with the PR, you don't need permission from the lawyer. The problem is if you try to work for the lawyer and constantly acknowledge the lawyer is going to negotiate on behalf of their client, and they're terrible negotiators. They want to do appraisals and they want realtors to list them. So in my perfect world, do not try to overcome the lawyer objection by they don't need to see this. It's none of their business. Go, absolutely. That's a smart decision. All you got to do is anchor your price and your terms. And then when you go to the lawyer, he goes, I don't like this little statement in lines 13B, section A. Okay, we'll remove it. What else you got? Well, at 200,000, I don't think that's a fair price. Hey, Mr. Seller, did we agree on 200? Yeah, we're fine with that price. What else you got, lawyer? And then we just go through it just like that. When you do that, you've had a preemptive strike and you've already killed the lawyer's objections. And basically like, well, if they change that line, I guess you're okay. That's it. And if you do that, lawyers are a pain in the butt. They will kill deals. I promise you, if you send them a 1 or 2 page wholesale contract, they'll kill it automatically for you. So use your regular approved contracts. If you don't know what it is, the best method is to go through your title company. So, okay, let's jump on and bring Will. Will, what's going on, man?
Hello, what's happening? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I love the headset, man. Will's serious.
Yeah, I'm making calls. I don't play around.
I know. That's why I hit you up, man. You're working. I love it. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I had a question. It wasn't about probate, so I don't know if it's necessary right now. I think everybody here wants to hear about probate, so I don't want to throw it off.
No, go ahead.
So,
We're talking about
okay.
wholesaling, so it's okay.
All right. Anyway, yeah, I guess my question was based around working with agents. I have a couple of deals that I'm looking at here in town. They're on market deals. I know you guys do some on market deals, but not a lot. I just didn't know how I need to go about, I guess, wholesaling that, because I know you have to use a certain contract, which is the Trek contract, right?
So you're looking to do an online deal as a realtor representing it?
Yeah, it's listed by an agent, but it's
So
way underpriced.
Way underpriced. Do you know why it might be underpriced?
I'm not sure. I mean, the house looks like it's in pretty good condition. I don't know if maybe they just couldn't sell it. It's been on the market for about 150 days, so maybe they just can't move it at where it was priced before, and they lowered the price. I don't know.
What market are you? You don't have to give me specifics, but roughly whereabouts?
It's in Missouri, Southwest Missouri.
Yeah. What's your inventory levels like there on the market?
Pretty low. I mean, every agent I talk to says that inventory is real low. They're not getting a whole lot of houses to sell.
So let me tell you how one of two ways to go. Here's what you need to do. You just need to try to put it under contract and be as slick as possible. It's a nightmare. You know, it's a pain in the butt working with a realtor
I know.
because you're not working directly with the seller. So all you can do is try to put it under contract, get as long as an inspection period as you can get. Realtors, 15 days seems like an eternity to them. Like they freak out. In Florida, everybody wants 3 days. It's an absolute nightmare. Understanding there's probably some sort of BS behind this property that they're not going to share with you right off the bat. And you're going to have to be a detective. But I don't do anything. And so if it's on market, all I want to do is put a contract on it and lock it up so nobody can slide into me. And then I'm going to beat the crap out of them. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Like there's no other strategy. The problem is most realtors won't let you do what we want to do. Assignable contracts, small deposits, long inspection periods. They want the complete and then low contract prices. They want usually the complete opposite. And it's hard for them to do that. The only other thing you can do is maybe they have a 180-day listing and maybe they need an offer just to keep it alive. I find they will typically use a wholesaler like you and me. Okay. But sometimes if it works, hell, give it a shot. But like, I don't have a lot of advice because sometimes if you have an inside scoop on a property, that's one thing. But this one, so you're just going to have to use a regular realtor's contract. You can get it from your title company. Yeah. The key thing is you just have to make it assignable. Now, the cool part is most of these contracts, these types, is you just use a checkbox and nobody really notices it.
Okay. So just make it assignable.
Yeah. But the real struggle is going to be, the deposit is not that big of a deal as the price. Like,
okay.
Because you need it for a price that works, right? So
definitely.
You said it's way below market price.
I'd say it's probably about it's probably honestly they could get 280 for it just from the comps that I'm looking at, and they've got it priced at around 108.
So I want you to understand this. Number one, there's probably a long story behind the property.
Okay.
And number two, the market has already spoken about this property. There's something wrong. So just go in knowing you have a problem on your hands. I would put it under contract. I wouldn't even obsess about what you put it under because once you do the inspection, the truth's going to come out. And that's when you just renegotiate the whole thing. And hopefully the realtor is like, just take it. I'm tired of this property. I want to move on. Those will work. But remember, you got to do a lot of offers like this.
The place is actually owned. Sorry to cut you off. The place is actually owned by a Secretary of Veteran Affairs. Does that make a big difference? Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, because they're not going to sell it with a warranty. Okay. And then they might restrict your resale on it to 90 days, but you won't know until you get into it. So just give it a shot. Like understanding there's low probabilities on these deals. So you just got to keep hunting. And if you do it, like I don't go through comping all this other stuff. I just write a contract. If they take it, great. If not, whenever I put a property on the market, I usually get 10 or 15 offers just like this. And we ignore every one of them. So just understanding it is a low probability, but maybe the realtor is desperate and they just want to get paid something and move on with their life. And something's better than nothing. So just give it a shot. Just don't spend a lot of energy on it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, man.
Man.
I closed my third deal in February. I've only been doing it since December, and it's all because you and Zach. You guys have been keeping it going. So I appreciate all the help.
But remember, it's you guys that do the work. And here's the secret to wholesaling is the information's all out there. Hell, you can get it from people outside of me. Most of it's pretty much knocked off. I didn't invent wholesaling. There's this wave of people telling, I'm the godfather of wholesaling. I invented it. No, dude, this has been around for hundreds of years. We're not that smart. We just kind of do like people before. We just get a little bit better each time. The question is, if I give you all the information at freewholesaling.com, who's going to stand up and go out and use it? And people like you, Will, are the difference makers. It's not easy what you did, right?
No, not at all. It's
not hard.
Every deal was a Hispanic deal, so I had to overcome the barrier using Google Translate, and so that's not fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, the tools are there, but the bottom line is, give credit to yourself because there's a lot of people that consume our information. The ones that go out there and do it, because you're gonna have setbacks, you're gonna have failures, but like I try to tell people, if you embrace that part of the journey of wholesaling, it's an absolute blast. And that's what I want you to understand with it. So awesome to hear. A great job. Just go ahead and shoot the one on market. Just put the contract, send it over. And if they respond, great. If they don't, that's it. But you're going to have to, if you do, I would talk to that realtor and try to find out what's going on with that. But I like to put it under contract and then beat people up. Don't beat them up and then expect to get a contract because the realtor is like, that will guy's a little bit difficult. I don't know if I want to
I
deal with
got
it.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
So
Yeah,
whenever
yeah.
you do an on market, always lock it up first and then investigate and dig afterwards. So
And do I lock that up using the purchase and sale agreement that you guys have available, or will I have to use?
no, so when you want to deal with a realtor, you want to use like the state approved contract. So
Okay.
if you don't know how to get it, you can Google it in your state. If not, reach out to a title company. They usually just give it to you for free. And they'll say, hey,
Okay.
this is the norm of the contract. Remember, you want it to go below the radar. Realtors are in shock when they see a 2-page contract. They're like, where's the rest of the pages? I go, it's all legal lawyer mumbo shumbo. Like, I'm
Yeah,
going to buy the damn thing. Let's just get to the terms and move on. They want like full disclosure. Most of those contracts protect the realtors, by the way. They actually protect the buyers too,
I got
kind of
you.
everyone around. But like, remember, a contract, it only has 4 or 5 executable pieces. The rest is just fluff. You could do it on the back of a cocktail napkin. I'm telling you,
All right,
for
good deal.
real.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, man. I'll see you. Well, good
All right.
job, man. Awesome. So, okay. So Devin says, hey, Rick, I did a live yesterday on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel. I said, don't be the guy that puts the bandit signs at the top of the telephone pole. You know why? Because you're going to get a letter or a phone call and it's not going to be polite. And the problem is it's a federal offense. It is actually a crime. So it's not just you stop doing it. Um, for the longest time, for 10 years, my first 10 years of wholesaling, I first started doing it. And then I would get people, we got so good at it. We built sticks. Now they have these sticks built out. They can go up to 12 feet and you can hammer it. And the problem is these signs never come down. They do pollute the neighborhoods. And the problem is it's federal property. And the federal has all your tax dollars to unleash on you whenever they want to attack you. And that is the reason. So what I would do is I take bandit signs. I use traditional stakes and I just stick them in the ground. And that's the old traditional way to do it. You just don't need 500 signs. Everyone's like always buying 500 signs. You need 10 to 20 signs and just move them around. So that's what I meant by that. So, Corby, use dmzac.com or listrei.com and use the pre-probate section, and that will find it for you. Okay. So Robert has a question on there, but if you want to hop on the live, that would be the best way to do it. So let's take another one here. Who did I miss? Ashton, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rick, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly. What's going on, man?
Cool deal. Well, I talked to Zach not too long ago. I'm still trying to get my bearings on how to do wholesaling and whatnot. There's a town right next door to me that I'm going to be going to. As soon as you clicked on me, I forgot my question. I had one.
Yeah,
Really
okay.
good one.
So think about this. What is it perplexing you the most about wholesaling? Like deep in your gut, like what's
So what
you
makes
said-
me nervous? I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So that's the question. What makes me nervous is that you say, or you teach us in freewholesaling.com to go on Facebook groups, get to the biggest ones, find cash buyers that way.
Yeah.
A lot of these cash buyers aren't like emailing me back, and that's kind of what's making me nervous about that. And to get a deal under contract, I'm sorry to like keep going, but just to get a deal under contract and not have a cash buyer ready kind of makes me nervous to put one under contract.
I agree. So here's the problem with it. Most of the cash buyers that you see on Facebook and social media, I'm going to let you know a little secret. They're not real cash buyers. That's why they're not responding to you. They take these courses and they tell them, I got cash buyers everywhere. And they put out all these things and thousands of people respond to them. And they don't have the ability to even respond back to them. And so they're not very serious. Number two, cash buyers are like real people. And you have to find a way to connect with them. So if you can ever get past an email and a phone number, you actually have to call these people and say, hey, listen, what areas you're looking to buy? What types of properties do you buy? Do you do investment properties? Do you flip properties? What's your price range? Are you the decision maker? How quick do you close? The only challenge in the beginning, and I agree with it, it is hard to ask for a proof of funds when you don't even have a property under contract, because when people come to me and go, hey, Rick, I'd like to use you as a cash buyer. This is great. What do you got? And you're like, oh, I don't have anything yet. I'm like, then take me off your list. You're like wasting my time. So the only thing I would do is be a little bit flexible. I could listen, when I get a deal, I just ask for a proof of funds. That's a fair exchange. Show me a property you have under contract and I'll give you my proof of funds. I'll be ready to go. But you can do all the other qualifying questions and get through it. But the problem is I'm never filling out an email. I'm not going to respond to a text. When people reach out and call me, I will actually, I will vet them myself. Now, that is not a permission slip for every one of you guys to call me, because I do get a crap load of calls. I mostly don't answer my phone, thank God. And you guys are really creative. But do you understand there's human beings? You got to find the real cash buyers. If I call 10 cash buyers, maybe 1 or 2 are real when it comes down. Most of them are wholesalers just trying to snake deals. And the other people who bought disposition programs to tell everyone they got cash buyers all over the country. That's why you're not getting any progress with that. They're just not real cash buyers. Like, I don't respond to a lot of emails because once I see I'm on an email blast, I'm like, I assume you sent this out to 1,000 people. So some of the techniques, some of the easiest way to find cash buyers is if you've gone through the process to talk to your title company and figure out title company, they will give you some of the best cash buyers naturally. Like, hey, Ashton, this guy's bought like 8 properties this month. He is awesome. He's for real. Your job's just to find a way to politely connect with them, not be abrasive, not be aggressive, and kind of go from there. And just start with the basics. You can also use real estate agents. They have tons of cash buyers that have already vetted, and you actually deal with the real estate agent, which is actually much easier than dealing with the cash buyer because you don't have to go through that big dance. They just want to know you'll give them a good deal. And she goes, I'll look at it. If it's okay, my cash buyer will buy it sight unseen. I just take a quick look at it. So I've given you 2 quick fixes to fill those voids pretty quickly. Real estate agents always talk to you and title companies always talk to you. A cash buyer, you got to induce them somehow. An email and a text is just not enough anymore. Why? Because I get 50 of them a day. I don't respond to any of them. I'm the same guy you're trying to reach out to. You got to find a way to connect with them naturally and organically but it's easier said than done. But after a while, you pick up one, you get another one here. You don't need 500 and 1,000 cash buyers. Honestly, if you can have 10, I'm impressed. 10 real cash buyers. 10 real cash buyers is like having 500 cash buyer database. They're all bullshit. Everybody, I got 10,000 cash buyers. No, you don't. You got 9,990 wholesalers, and you got about 8 wannabes in there, and then maybe there's 2 real cash buyers. That's it. You only need 1 or 2 good cash buyers to really cover your butt. Like, don't try to take the whole list down in one shot. Just get 1 or 2. Realtors that deal with cash buyers and title companies. By the way, title companies also know the realtors that represent cash buyers. Is the easiest way. You just need 1 or 2. Don't worry about taking it. Will come with time as you do deals. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
You got it. So don't try to bite the whole thing off in one shot. Just try to get 1 legitimate cash buyer. That's your goal. And then the next week you add 1 more cash buyer. But you got to eventually have a conversation with these people. And I find the most challenging part is like, give me your proof of funds. Or like, you'll show me your deal. I'm like, okay, I get it. If you don't have a deal, you can't be demanding it. Say, listen, soon I'm working right now. I just started a marketing program. As soon as I get one under contract, I'm going to give you the first call, and then we'll talk about it. And then maybe you give me a proof of funds then. And people are like, no problem. I have no problem giving you a proof of funds when you show me a real deal. But I do not hand mine out haphazardly to people that have no idea what they're doing, because I don't know what they're going to do with my information. And also keep in mind, if you get a good cash buyer, they will help you get through your first deal. It's not as bad as it sounds. But at least you know you have someone to kind of back you up to make sure the numbers are right and they'll actually fund the deal. So the sooner you can make that connection, the better.
Alrighty. I appreciate that.
You got it, Ashton. Just keep taking steps forward. That's it. Okay. I get it. I know I don't need 500 cash buyers. I just need 1 or 2 good quality ones, and it'll give me the confidence to keep pushing forward. So when I get a deal, I don't have to panic. That's it. The worst case scenario, if you do get a deal like today, go over to your title company, go, listen, I really need a cash buyer. And that's what I did in the beginning. I was desperate, man. I had no idea how to do this business. So you'll always figure a way. God has this amazing ability when they put you in a spot and you feel like you're cornered, you'd be surprised how much you can step up to the plate. It's just like sports. It's just like taking that terrible exam in school or college. The same thing happens in wholesaling. The only difference is you're the person on the spot and you're the person in charge. So figure this one out and just keep adding to it. Just keep coming on the lives. We'll be happy to help you out. Okay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay, Ashton. Awesome. So, guys, if you guys need more information, you want more help working with me and Zach, check us out at flipwithrickplus.com. I know there's a waiting list. There's a reason for it because I can only handle so many people. I love everybody in this, but I want people that are completely committed and dedicated. When people exit the program, we open it up. It's usually like every other week. We have a big event coming up in Dallas, and we're getting near capacity. We're probably going to open it up one more time, and who's ever on that list, you get a link. If you respond in 24 hours, you're in. If not, it's kind of closed forever. So our deal is you can go through sellmypaper.com and JV with us, and you get in 1 year free. We have a sizable portion of our members of Flip With Plus do that, or you can pay a nominal fee, and my fee is 98% cheaper than any other guru out there. I'm not a guru. We just create a community. We give you the ability to connect with us more and answer live questions. And you get to go to 2 live events free. One's in South Florida, which we do in the fall, usually September, October. And then we travel to where we have the most amount of members. This year, we're going over to Dallas, April 24th and 25th. So go over there if you want to learn more about that. And guys, as usual, if you got value from this, do me a favor. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. It makes a tremendous difference, and we can help more people, notify them what's going on. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you smash that like button. And as usual, leave your comments below. We read every one of them. We do appreciate everybody on here. Guys, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys in Flip with Rick Plus right after this in just a few minutes. Thank you. Later.